If you've read 3 different AI jobs headlines this year and walked away unsure whether the thing is actually happening, this is for you. One week, it's 300 million jobs about to vanish. The next week, it's a Yale economist saying she can't find any disruption signal at all. Same topic, same month. Both pieces are sourced. Both pieces are confident. They cannot both be the whole story. That's the line. The headlines aren't lying exactly. They're just telling one of 2 stories at a time, and never the same one twice. So I did the thing the headlines weren't doing. I opened the Stanford Canaries in the Coal Mine paper from last November and put it next to Yale Budget Lab's monthly tracker, side by side. 2 real documents you can pull up yourself. And what I found was that both headlines are right. They're just measuring different floors of the same building. The economy-wide picture is genuinely flat. The 22 to 25-year-old picture is genuinely down 16%. The headlines have been collapsing 2 real stories into one fake one. So here's what we're doing for the next 8 minutes. We're going to look at what the data actually says, at the whole economy level, the entry level, and the layoff announcement level, and figure out which AI jobs claims survive a look at the primary source and which evaporate the moment you check. 4 things I want you to take from this. First, what the whole economy data actually shows. I went looking for the macro AI disruption signal in the official data. I pulled up Yale Budget Lab's monthly tracker. They measure how much the mix of jobs in the country is shifting compared to history, and the BLS 10-year projection table from 2024 to 2034 side by side. The thing I expected to find isn't there. Yale's been tracking it monthly for 33 months. Their lead economist, Martha Gimbel, put it plainly. It just doesn't seem like there's major macroeconomic effects here. The BLS, whose entire job is forecasting which jobs grow and which shrink, is projecting net plus 5.2 million jobs over the decade. Not minus, plus. And here's the one that surprised me. Anthropic, the company that makes the AI tool Claude, published their own labor market study in March and concluded no systematic increase in unemployment for highly exposed workers since late 2022. When I say highly exposed workers, I mean people in AI-exposed occupations, jobs where AI can plausibly do at least part of the work, customer service reps, paralegals, coders, that bucket. Anthropic's conflict of interest cuts the other direction here. They'd benefit from claiming AI is reshaping the labor market. Their own data says it isn't. Not yet. Not at the aggregate. 3 independent datasets. 3 years of looking. The big, economy-wide AI disruption signal isn't in the data. So when you see the Goldman Sachs 300 million jobs headline that's been recycled for 2 years, that's an exposure estimate. Meaning a count of jobs where AI could theoretically do some of the tasks, not a count of jobs actually lost. Goldman themselves wrote that the true impact is likely smaller than their estimates suggest. The headline writers turned "could be affected" into "will be eliminated." The economists didn't. Nobel laureate Daron Acemoglu ran the numbers and put the AI productivity gain at about 1.1% of GDP over a decade, not per year. He called the Goldman and McKinsey estimates hyperbolic, which, from a Nobel laureate, is the academic equivalent of a slow hand clap. If you've been adjusting your career on the assumption the macro AI jobs disruption is already here, you're reacting to a story the primary data doesn't tell yet. Then, where the disruption signal actually is. I opened the Stanford paper expecting another exposure estimate, the kind that says X% of tasks could theoretically be automated, and instead, I got a real number from real paycheck data. Stanford ran their analysis on ADP-payroll data, the actual paycheck records of millions of American workers, run through the country's biggest payroll company. Not a survey, not a prediction, pay stubs. The number is this. Workers aged 22 to 25 in the most AI-exposed jobs are down 16% relative to their less exposed peers since ChatGPT launched. Same occupations, workers over 40, completely unaffected. Same paper, page 5. Software developers in the 22 to 25 band are down nearly 20% from their late 2022 peak. And when I cross-checked against the New York Fed's recent grad numbers, 5.6% unemployment for college graduates aged 22 to 27 versus 4.2% for the overall workforce, the historical pattern has inverted. Recent grads used to have lower unemployment than everyone else. Now they have higher. Here's the part that's load-bearing. The Stanford authors are careful about this. The displacement is concentrated specifically in occupations where AI automates rather than augments labor. Automate versus augment. That's the distinction the whole episode rides on. Automate means the AI does the whole task instead of the person. Augment means the AI helps the person do the task faster or better. Same technology, two completely different effects on employment. If you've got someone in your life trying to land their first real job in 2026, the macro headlines are the wrong story to be reading. The entry rung is where the actual signal lives, and it's being eroded specifically in the automate bucket, not the augment one. If you hire people, here's the cost nobody's putting in a deck. The cheapest thing AI will cost your company isn't a salary, it's the next generation of senior people you didn't train. Senior people come from junior people doing junior work for 5 years. If the junior work is what AI is doing now, you didn't save a headcount, you skipped a generation. Then, why the companies are louder than the data? I pulled the Challenger Gray 2025 year-end report. These are the people who count corporate layoff announcements for a living. The AI-attributed slice is 54,000 layoffs out of more than 1.2 million, about 1 in 22. The other 21 were blamed on market and economic conditions, which is corporate speak for, we overhired in 2021 and interest rates went up. The AI ones are the ones that go viral. Of course they do. We laid off 2,000 people because rates went up doesn't trend. We laid off 2,000 people because of AI. Trends until lunch. The load-bearing case study here is Klarna. They're a buy now, pay later fintech, the button you've seen at checkout. In 2024, they fired 700 customer service workers, deployed an AI chatbot, and told the press the AI was doing the work of 700 humans. They led the cycle on the linear replacement story. By May of 2025, the CEO was on Bloomberg explaining they'd started hiring people back. Direct quote, the AI service was lower quality. Same interview. There will always be a human if you want. A year. That's how long the AI replaced our customer service story lasted at Klarna before the CEO publicly walked it back. Harvard Business Review put a name on this pattern in a piece in January. Companies are eliminating positions based on AI's anticipated capability, not its demonstrated performance. Anticipated, meaning the AI hasn't actually done the work yet. They're laying off based on the deck. So we have a name for it now, the AI washing gap. Companies using AI as the press-friendly reason for layoffs that were going to happen anyway. The AI line travels. The real cause doesn't. And we keep updating our beliefs about AI based on stories that aren't really about AI. And how to read the next AI jobs headline you see. Here's the lens I've been using since I went through this. 2 questions. That's all you need. First question, is this headline measuring the macro picture or the entry-level picture? Because the BLS forecasts that customer service reps shrink 5% over the decade, and at the same time that data scientists and software developers are among the fastest growing occupations. Both true. The work shifts. It doesn't vanish. Second question, is the AI in this story doing the work, or is it the reason being given for a decision that was already made? IBM is the cleanest example I found of why the second question matters. In 2023, their CEO announced about 7,800 back-office HR jobs would be paused or replaced by AI. By 2025, their Ask HR agent was automating 94% of routine HR tasks. The chatbot actually replaced the humans. No AI washing. And then Krishna, the CEO, confirmed publicly that total IBM headcount had actually risen. They reinvested the savings into more programmers and more salespeople. Direct quote, total employment has actually gone up. The Upwork data tells the same story from the freelance side. Translators and content writers lost 20 to 50% of their gig demand to AI. And freelancers who used AI to augment their work earned 40% more per hour than peers who didn't. The same technology that erases one rung pays a premium on another. That's the 2-question lens. Macro or entry level? AI doing the work or AI as the stated reason? So, the 2-question lens. 2 questions before you react. Macro or entry level? AI doing the work or AI as the stated reason? The AI washing gap. Roughly 1 in 22 US layoffs in 2025 cited AI. The other 21 were the rate cycle wearing an AI costume. The canary cohort. The disruption signal that's actually in the data is concentrated in 22 to 25-year-olds in jobs where AI automates the work. Workers over 40 in the same jobs are unaffected. and the macro mirage. 3 years in, the economy-wide AI disruption signal is missing from Yale's tracker, missing from Anthropic's own data, and missing from BLS's decade projection. If I were you, the next time an AI jobs headline crosses your feed, run it through the 2 questions before you react: macro or entry level? AI doing the work, or AI as the stated reason? Half of them fall apart on the second question alone, and the half that don't, you'll actually know what to do about. That's the memo. Read.